You don't typically see any boost in favorability polling following a presidential trip to the G20 summit, though President Biden could certainly use it. The latest NewsNation decision desk HQ polling found 80% of voters are concerned about his age affecting his ability to serve another term. More than half of respondents saying they are very concerned. Then there's the Wall Street Journal saying the same thing. Almost 75% of voters believe that President Biden's too old to run again, compared to just 47% who say the same thing about President Trump. Then there's the CNN poll out just now, finding 2/3 of Democratic-leaning voters believe the party should nominate someone other than the president to run in 2024, up from just over half of those voters 6 months ago. Let's break it all down with Republican strategist Rina Shah and NewsNation political contributor and Democrat Chris Hahn. Good morning to you two. You know, Rina, you sparked this lively conversation because on Tuesday we were chatting and then you dropped this, comment very specific about who you believe Democrats should have at the top of the ticket in 2024. What say you?
I think there are incredible candidates on the Dem side. Look, I'm not one, never been one, but just observing, I can tell you, it feels like Democrat leadership in Congress and just in the party in general is missing an opportunity with so many younger Democrats who are sitting in elected leaderships right now, like across the country, whether they're a state executive or sitting in Congress. I think there are just a host of options that would be better to pass the baton to for Biden.
But do you think, Chris, of all the choices, and Wes Moore, first-term governor of Maryland's name comes up, do they have a chance at competing with Donald Trump?
Absolutely. Donald Trump's a very old man himself. And if you're concerned about Biden's age, and then there's a 50-year-old Democrat or a 40-something-year-old Democrat running against them, they absolutely will compete. And I always put up at the top of my list Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who I don't understand why more people aren't touting her as a potential next-generation Democratic leader. She took a state that was trending red and turned it blue, not only winning it for herself, but taking the legislature and all other statewide office holders with her. I think she'd be a great candidate. I think she'd appeal to those Rust Belt states that Democrats have been losing or having a hard time winning over the years. She might even pick up in Iowa or in Indiana. So I don't know why we're not looking at her as a potential candidate down the road. Again, I think Biden's going to be the nominee unless he doesn't want to be, but Gretchen Whitmer would be a great option should he decide not to run.
But Chris,
and Chris,
go ahead, Rina.
I think Gretchen would be a great pairing with Governor Wes Moore. He's got this background not just in the public sector, but in the private sector that's remarkable. He's in his 40s. He's got that vibrancy. Yeah. People really see him to be campaigning for inclusion. And so, you can't just talk the talk in this era. You have to be about it. You have to walk that talk. And that's what I see Wes Moore doing. So I think he and Whitmer would be an incredible matchup. But another matchup that I think is a bit unexpected, I really love, is former Congresswoman Val Demings of Florida. Really strong on law enforcement. I've seen a lot of independent, moderate voices across the spectrum really like her because she's firm. She's just got this appeal that I think could be really great. Of course, she lost her race to Marco Rubio for Senate. But if you put her next to a guy like Dwayne Wade, I know, I'm talking about an NBA star, a young guy in his 40s, political outsider, but got a really great story, got a great American family. These Black Americans, and I hate to make it about identity, would bring in that demographic that could re-energize Biden's campaign. He has largely failed Black America. He made a lot of lip service. He did a lot of lip service. He made a lot of promises to Black America. He hasn't been able to get an ambitious voting rights agenda passed. He blames Congress for it. But look, I think in general, you've got to look at Black Americans for what they are. Saving democracy. So, hey, Demings Wade, if you're thinking of getting together, go out there and do it.
Well, and Chris is chomping at the bit. What do you want to say in response?
I think I just took Dwayne Wade off my NBA fantasy roster, so I think maybe it's a little too soon. I am not interested in a celebrity candidate. I'm interested in somebody who knows how to govern. We are in perilous times right now. While I do think Val Demings would be a fantastic office holder at any level, I think she's got to win statewide before you run for president of the United States or hold on to something. But I do think she'd be an interesting candidate. I think she'd be an excellent cabinet secretary. But I also think she should run again in Florida, because I do think Florida is winnable for Democrats if they put the right resources into that state and really go after Latino voters in a way that they haven't and Republicans have down there.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.